The dangerous weather already turning deadly.
We have one suspected case of hypothermia early this morning. Someone passed away.
Meanwhile, trees are falling.
There's a branch that's going through the front windshield into the back seat.
And it looks like we're not going to be getting a break from the cold for days. Team coverage of this winter wallop.
That is a big boy, though. Yeah.
Continues right now.
This is KGW News at 5.
Good evening, everyone. David Molko here along with John Adams as we continue to cover this Arctic blast moving through our area. This is a live look at our Rose City sky camera. I-5 there, slow going, but things are moving. It is 16 degrees in Portland. That wind chill in the single digits. Bone chilling, creating some of the coldest temperatures we have seen in years, and depending how you measure, in decades. Well, thanks for joining us over the next hour. And tragically, we begin here with some sobering news that this storm has already turned deadly. One person from a suspected case of hypothermia, another when a tree fell on an RV and started a fire.
And we've got team coverage for you tonight. Our crews are spread out at warming shelters, checking out the damage and on the roads so you and your loved ones can stay safe. We're also going to be hearing live from TriMet and PGE on these power outages. But first, let's go to our chief meteorologist, Matt Zaffino. And Matt, what can we expect for the rest of the night here?
Hey, John, you know, the good news is things are going to begin to ease as we go through the nighttime hours, and especially after about midnight, the winds are really going to begin to back off. So I think people will feel more comfortable with that once these really ferocious winds begin to die down. But it will remain cold for a while. That'll be the least of our problems, of course, compared to the wind and the ice that we have outside. It is 15 degrees in Portland right now. The wind chill presently, let's drop down to -5. That fluctuates by the hour, if not sooner or more frequently, depending on what the wind is doing. East at 28 right now out at the Portland airport. So it is very, very dangerously cold. Then, of course, there are the winds and the damage that has been created. The wind chills right now, 4 in Hillsborough, 3 in Aurora. It's -7 in Troutdale. And we look around the state, it's not quite as bad in some areas where the wind isn't so much. We look at Sun River with the wind chill of 25 below. Okay, so what about the precipitation? We had a lot of sleet, kept the snow totals down, but the sleet, of course, is slippery. The good news is when we look at Doppler radar, we're already seeing it lighten up and changing to snow, too. Within about the last hour, we're seeing less sleet, more snow, but it's becoming a lot lighter as the main band is shifted north. Now, we're going to get part of this pivoting back down south, so we're not quite done with it, but I think we will be done with the precipitation by about 10 p.m. This storm coming right in south of Newport, pretty close to where we thought it would be. So let's go through this by the hour. Down to 13 degrees tonight at 10 o'clock or at 11 o'clock, and that's about when the snow should be ending, I think, or about 10, 11 o'clock. The winds will begin to back off after midnight. Now, in and near the gorge, they're not going to completely end, but they will back off. You can see in this map, the gusts 40, 50 miles an hour. We've had higher gusts, but by tomorrow morning, they're down below 30 miles an hour, which will feel a lot better. So snow sleet ending by 10 p.m. It's already beginning to wind down a bit, though. The winds will gradually ease after about midnight, still below freezing and breezy tomorrow, but the sun will come out. So better days and better hours ahead, guys.
Music to our ears. Who knew 30-mile-an-hour gusts would feel a lot better? Thank you, Matt. We'll check in with you in a few minutes. It says breaking news now. It's coming in out of southeast Portland's Lentz neighborhood, where fire crews say a person died this afternoon when a tree fell onto an RV and sparked a fire.
Let's bring in Art Edwards along Southeast 105th Avenue. And Art, what have you learned out there tonight?
Now, we're at Southeast 105th and Harold Street. Right behind me is the scene. You could see sort of what remains of what happened out here. It was late this afternoon when a tree came down on a power line. That sparked a fire, and it caught an RV that there were a couple of people inside that caught that RV on fire. We have some video from the scene from earlier on today when the firefighters were out here. They got here quickly. The lines are down in the street. All the power is out in the neighborhood, and you can see probably the remains of that RV. What we're told is that there was one person inside the RV who died. There was a second person who was injured who was in that RV as well. We also talked to somebody who lives in the neighborhood and heard everything as it sort of began.
All of a sudden, the power goes out, and I hear a bang, and I look outside, and the tree hit the van, and it went over. After that, I bet good 1-2 minutes, the fire started coming out, and I heard one of the people that lived there, one of the homeless that lived there, he was screaming.
Now, we know that the RV itself caught fire. That has burned and is beyond repair. There are a couple of cars that we can see back there as well that seem to have some significant damage. Just in the last few minutes, some crews from PGE have come out here. They're taking a look around to see exactly what the damage is and see what they're going to need to do to be able to repair the power lines out here and get this situation all straightened out and all cleaned up. Reporting live from Southeast Portland, Art Edwards, KGW News.
Thanks so much. Our team coverage now continuing with Sydney Dorner live at a warming center in Portland's central east side there.
And Sydney, we mentioned the dangerous weather has already turned deadly, with one person in Multnomah County dying. Officials say from what they believe to be hypothermia. What's the plan from here on out?
Yes, John, tonight at 8 p.m., 4 more emergency shelters will open for the homeless. Now, when the weather first got bad, Multnomah County opened up 6 sites for people to stay warm. Now, when I spoke to county officials, they made it clear this weather is deadly and they aren't turning away anyone.
People in the area without access to a warm environment are at risk of hypothermia and frostbite, which can be very dangerous and even deadly. We have one suspected case of hypothermia early this morning. Someone passed away.
The winter storm has turned deadly. While officials didn't release any other details about the person who died, Multnomah County is opening up 4 more emergency shelters. This map shows all the locations. First Christian Church, Freedom Foursquare Church, the Multnomah County East Building, and the State of Oregon Building are the 4 new locations. So far, at least 350 people have entered their shelters seeking warmth. Nikki Bello moved here from Florida 2 weeks ago with only her car.
This is my first time ever seeing snow, and it's fantastic, but I'm also homeless at the same time, so it's very difficult.
Nikki says she came to Portland to find acceptance as a transgender woman. She says emergency shelters provide more than just warmth.
It's just really nice here and very homey, and I feel safe and comfortable for the first time in like 8 years.
By tonight, 740 beds will be available at emergency shelters across Multnomah County. TriMet is providing free transportation so people can get there safely. You can also call 211 to connect with a shelter and get a ride. I spoke to one man on the streets with plans of heading to a shelter tonight.
A lot of our money comes from collecting cans and things like that, you know what I mean? And side jobs, and those go away during this kind of time, you know what I mean? So it's like right now that we're hearing about all these shelters and stuff, you know, but it's complicated usually to get to them.
Now, those 10 emergency shelters will stay open until the 14th. If you see anyone you think may be in danger, the county wants you to use their non-emergency line, which is 503-823-3333. And of course, if you see someone in immediate danger, call 911. Sydney Dorner, KGW News. Back to you.
All right, Sydney, thank you. Well, right now there are thousands of power outages across the metro area because of that snow and ice. We're going to take a look at that outage map right now. Portland General Electric has about 146,000 customers in the dark and cold right now, spread across all over the metro. You can see it there. And switching over to Pacific Power, about 41,000 customers there don't have power.
Yeah, you add Clark County into that. We're talking 200,000 or so over the last few hours, which is just unbelievable, that number. Okay, downed trees are a big reason why the power's out. Limbs and trunks crashing down on power lines, vehicles, homes, and a lot more. Team coverage continues with Kyle Aboshi. He's live in Southwest Portland. Kyle, you've been checking out some of the damage. We should point out, though, that this is still unfolding minute by minute. What are you seeing?
Oh, certainly. We've seen damaging winds throughout the Portland metro area today. Here in the park blocks, a lot of branches and twigs on the ground, as we've seen elsewhere. Cleanup is going to take a long time.
Mother Nature delivered a 1-2 punch with snow and fierce winds. Powerful gusts helped bring down branches and huge trees, including this one in Northeast Portland's Laurelhurst neighborhood. It crashed onto 3 cars and knocked down power lines.
I mean, got 3 little kids, all under the age of 7, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do for the next few days.
Despite all the damage, nobody got hurt. Neighbor Josh Rourke is grateful.
I'm getting phone calls and messages, probably like the 8th person that's volunteered to let us stay at their house. So
throughout the Portland metro area, crews were busy cleaning up the mess in frigid temperatures. This tree blocked Belmont Street in southeast Portland.
A huge, essentially shook the house.
Robin Ahrens and Bridget Bissell were sleeping when the tree came crashing down overnight.
Several of the top branches came all the way through the roof. There's a giant tree branch in my room.
Emergency crews responded to dozens of calls. Luckily, Portland officers weren't inside this patrol car when a tree fell in southeast Portland. In the Cedar Hills neighborhood, a tree fell onto an apartment complex, leading to the collapse of 2 units. No one was hurt. And in East Multnomah County, Troutdale Road was closed due to downed trees and power lines.
We have no power. It's already getting super cold in our house.
David Riley in southeast Portland lost power after this small tree toppled over, knocking down a power line.
We just heard this big, huge boom and came up here, and there it is.
Crews are working to restore electricity, but with this many outages and in these conditions, it may take some time to get the lights back on.
PGE says it has about 400 PGE workers and contractors out assessing the damage right now and working to restore that service.
Yeah, 150,000 customers without power. That is just PGE. Kyle Aboshi in Southwest Portland. Thank you for that incredible video there. We told you also things would be bad in the gorge. Take a look at this. That's the historic Sternwheel Columbia Gorge. It broke loose today in those incredible east winds from the Cascade Locks Marina. The port of Cascade Locks posting pictures on Facebook of the ship drifting and then hitting a footbridge that connects the marina parking lot to Thunder Island. We understand it caused significant damage. It does not appear, thankfully, that anybody was on board or anybody was on that bridge at the time and injured. The boat's now safely moored back at the marina. Wow.
And a close call for a Portland police officer. A huge tree crashed down on top of a patrol car. The officers were on call at Southeast 76th and Morrison. Portland police say luckily no one was inside that car when all of this happened.
I mean, it's happening in so many places, it's hard to keep up with
Really
all those
is.
down trees. Okay, thankfully, the snow, ice, the extreme cold, it's a weekend. Not many people on the roads. They're heeding those warnings as much as possible.
Yeah, meteorologist Joe Ranieri is in Live Drive 8 tonight. Joe, one of those closures along Highway 26 for a while, back open now, we've heard?
Exactly right. Now, we checked this out about 20 minutes ago, and the closure was along 26 in Barnes. But as we were driving out for our live shot just a few minutes ago or so, we noticed about 2 lanes along Highway 26 westbound were shut down, basically between the tunnel and the zoo exit. We're driving right by it right now. I'll show you the pictures. ODOT has been working to clear this tree that came basically just covering 2 lanes of Highway 26. Again, they're doing a great job clearing it. We got darkness right now, but again, if you'll be driving along this section of Highway 26, this is what you'll be seeing, and this is kind of a reminiscent of a lot of locations throughout parts of the metro area, especially along this section of Highway 26. But again, if you're going to be heading out, try to avoid driving. Luckily, this is a weekend. Of course, it's a holiday weekend, like we've been telling you, so traffic is very light. It's obviously very light because of the snow and ice that we have been seeing, but snow-covered roads and very slick conditions out here. Now, we started off this morning with snow showers, and it turned into more of a sleet and freezing rain situation for a couple of hours. Then it kind of went back to snow showers up to about, I would say about an hour ago, maybe 45 minutes ago. Now we're looking at just some dry conditions along Highway 26. But again, 26 in Barnes was currently closed for a short time earlier this afternoon because of downed trees. And that's what we have been seeing a lot of this afternoon, not just throughout parts of the major highways, but also throughout parts of some of the neighborhoods, like Kyle Aboshi was just telling you. Trees snapping because of the heavy weight of snow and ice and the high winds too. It's been especially bad the last couple of hours. Now, while we haven't seen many issues of cars abandoned on roads, we are hearing some warnings from ODOT after some issues they've seen the last several hours. They are warning drivers to never pass snow plows on the right. That's illegal and dangerous. Also, do not ever drive over down power lines.
They saw cars driving over the down power lines and even getting them caught in their wheels and pulling them a little bit down the road. Luckily, there was no power to those lines, but you can never be sure.
Now again, back here live along Highway 26, ODOT also reports they've seen some large trucks that have fallen over due to the high speeds or icy conditions, especially along parts of I-84 there. So they warn people again, if you have to head out on the roads, just take it slow, use chains if needed, and of course, be very careful. But again, here's as you can see, we've been driving along Highway 26. The nice thing about the wind, if there is anything nice about it, David and John, it's making the roads clear. We haven't really seen any slick spots, but even though it might look clear, still take your time if you have to come out here. Again, the city officials and ODOT is, again, urging people to stay home if you can. Again, we got a football game on if you want to check that on NBC. But again, now this is an official reporting station here in Drive 8. Temperature outside of 14 degrees. You factor in that wind chill, it is dangerously cold. And again, it's going to be a while before we warm up. Again, more on that later on in the show. Back to you guys.
Yeah, single digits or below, according to Matt there. Let's talk about transit because MAX train service has now been suspended system-wide. Up next, we're going to talk to a spokesperson about the challenges they're facing right now and what's coming up.
And just a reminder to share those winter storm pics with us here at KGW. The easiest way to do it is to text us at 503-226-5088. Our coverage of the Arctic blast continues right after this.
Saturday evening, our winter coverage continues. 15, 16 degrees in Portland, wind chills in the minus single digits, -5, -6. It's really slow going out there for everyone who's on the roads. That includes TriMet buses. The weather, by the way, so bad, all MAX train service has been suspended. Let's bring in Mark Miller, a spokesperson with TriMet, on the phone. So, Mark, let's first talk about the MAX service being down as of this afternoon. What are the conditions you're seeing across the system right now?
It's tough out there right now. Temperatures are obviously well below freezing, and we're seeing icy snow throughout the metro area. But I'd say the biggest challenge for us today has been the wind.
And Mark, what is it going to take? What's the process like to get these MAX trains back up and running, and what's a timeline for that to happen?
Well, we don't currently have a timetable to resume MAX service. The situation is really such that we face a lot of challenges, the same challenges people are seeing across the region. These high winds taking down power lines and trees. Some of that debris has actually caused some damage to our equipment, so it's really not safe for us to operate MAX right now.
Is it fair to say, Mark, that it sounds like this is going to be suspended at least for the rest of the evening at this point, given what you're seeing?
I really don't have a timetable for that. Our crews are working. We'll provide those updates through our service alerts and on our website, which is trimet.org/alerts.
Talk to us a little bit about the buses right now, because I know you're trying to run some shuttles instead of the MAX trains and also buses on other routes. I'd read a little bit. I know they have drop-down chains. Some of them had to go in for heavy chains considering the conditions. Are people still able to get around on buses if they really need to be out there?
We have chained all of our buses to keep them moving through the snow. Now, that does slow them down. Our chained buses are limited to 25 miles per hour, but it is important for bus safety and reliability that we're equipping our vehicles appropriately for these conditions.
All right, Mark Miller with TriMet. Thanks so much for joining us, Mark. We appreciate the latest updates.
And Matt's back with us now. I mean, Matt, silver lining, I suppose, here, really, that the precipitation's going to end. The winds are eventually going to back off, right?
Yeah.
We're getting through it.
The wind in the down trees, the biggest issue, obviously, with this storm, and that's what's led to the power outages, too. And it's interesting because the wind values themselves, we've seen this before, but it seems like there's just a lot of trees coming down. I don't know if that's a function of the fact that the soil is so saturated from all the rain we had in December, and then super wet soil, super fast freeze. So if the ground is freezing, that moisture expands into ice. That may be loosening the root base. Not sure on that, but
well, to your point, you see the images. It's not just a branch here, a branch here. It's entire trunks coming down across the roads.
My neighbor had a tree come down on their house, so it's
everything okay. Is everything okay there?
I think so, yeah. Okay. But it's happening all over the place. So let's take you outside right now. It is a very cold night. That is the understatement of the weekend. 16 degrees right now, and our daytime high during the day today was in the teens. We were actually for the calendar day, the high temperature is 21 because that's where we were at midnight last night, but it's been getting colder ever since. East winds are down to 22, but the gusts are still higher. The wind chill has backed off to -2. It's not often you say that west of the Cascades, where the wind chill has warmed to -2, but that's the kind of weather we have right now. Now, the good news. Couple points of good news. First of all, the precipitation will be winding down. It's already lightened up a lot, so I don't expect much more ice or snow or sleet loading. You can see we had that steady sleet, and I'll explain why we had so much sleet and less snow in just a bit. There is still this band of snow, and it is snow, not sleet, to our north, and this is going to do a little bit of a pivot and come back through, so I think we'll get a little more snow tonight, but I think the heavier snow and sleet have already ended. There's still quite a bit over Clackamas County as well once you get east of I-5. Then there are the winds, and they're going to take a little bit longer to back off. And in the gorge, they're not going to end tomorrow, but they will be lighter and increasingly confined to areas in or very close to the gorge itself. Temperatures, 16, as I mentioned, in Portland. It's 15 in Troutdale, 17 over in Scappoose. You look around the state, I mean, we're warmer than Eastern Oregon. It's 2 in Pendleton, -2 in Bend, -6 in Sun River. Only southwestern. I mean, look at this. Roseburg and North Bend are in the 50s going, what? What are you talking about, this cold weather? And so it's a big, big difference as that Arctic air made it south to about Eugene, but no further south, and down to about Newport and no further south along the coast. Northeast Oregon, deep in that Arctic air. It's 0 Joseph. It's -3 up at Meacham in the Northeast Mountains. We had several big closures on the interstate last night over to Idaho. Okay, the last time we had a daytime high in the teens was 33 years ago. You got to go back to 1990. We topped out at 19. Now, again, the official high for the calendar day will be 21 because we're there at midnight. But during the daytime hours today, we were certainly a lot lower than that. There's only been 10 days since 1938 where Portland has failed to reach 20 degrees. And the last time we were in the teens was just last year, but that was a morning low of 18. Then we warmed up. That's a big difference from what we've been doing today. Okay, the wind still sustained at 37 miles an hour in Troutdale, 22 at the Portland airport. We zoom in on this, and again, this is where the winds are the worst. They really back off once you get away from areas near the gorge and those that are really impacted by the strong east wind. But the gusts still gusting to 48 in Troutdale. And we've got some stronger gusts in other parts of the state, but it's really the gorge in Portland that is feeling the strong east winds. Here are the peak wind gusts that we had today. 46 miles an hour at the airport, the Fremont Bridge 53, Corbett 74. Troutdale had a gust of 60, and up in the West Hills, a gust of almost 50 miles an hour. And again, we've had gusts like this before and not had so many trees come down and so many widespread power outages. So it's just a little bit different deal, I think, because of the heavy rain we had in December and then everything froze with the winds we had today. Our storm beginning to pull on out of here, and we'll actually see the sun come out tomorrow, which will be a very welcome thing. Up in the mountains, another 2 to 6 inches of snow tonight, and not quite as cold, getting up to 26 at Government Camp and in the teens up at the ski areas. For Portland, snow, yep, that's ending, and it will continue to be mixed with a little bit of sleet, but for the most part, we're going to get out of it. Tomorrow, up to 28, mostly sunny. Same thing on Monday. Got to take the MLK graphic off there. We've got to watch for freezing rain again Tuesday night and Wednesday. We're back after this.
Along with John Adams, we just talked about how TriMet has suspended MAX operations, it seems, at least for the duration of this evening. We just talked to someone there saying there is no timeline. By the way, tomorrow, Sunday, is when more disruptions, service disruptions start, including no red line service at all.
Well, and that down red line means you'll also have to find another way to get to the airport. PDX posted an update on social media earlier today that the airport is up and running as normal this afternoon. They are still experiencing plenty of delays, though, in canceled flights. According to PDX's website, 35 flights have been canceled so far today. Another 32 have been delayed.
Safe to say, if you've got another day to fly, it's probably a better day than today. You know what? We've been getting so many great viewer photos, John. Thanks to everyone for sending them in. This is Moko. No, not Molko, but Moko. Nice name. Having fun in the snow. Moko's human says it has been snowing in St. Helens since about 10:30 this morning. Over in Cedar Mill, a kitty cat having a little bit of fun at the window, just trying to bat those snowflakes. Keep those pets inside, by the way.
Yeah, they wanted to go outside there, I think. And Levi and Landon having fun in the snow. They were jumping around on that snow-covered trampoline. Always fun. And take a look at this pic from Sayo. Viewer tells us that it was 100% ice pellets falling there on the bushes in the ground. Quite the scene there, David. You can text us your pics, just a reminder, at 503-226-5088.
Back right after this, guys. of this Arctic blast, which, as you may have seen, is causing significant issues all over Oregon and southwest Washington. Winds, snow, and ice continue to bring down trees and power lines, crushing vehicles and damaging roof lines. Power outages hovering around 150,000 customers. That's just PGE alone. We're going to talk to them in just a moment to get an update. And tragically tonight, the storm has already claimed 2 lives. One, a suspected case of hypothermia, with Multnomah County now opening more shelter beds tonight. And the second, a person who died in an RV fire in the Lentz neighborhood after a tree fell on an RV and sparked that blaze. Well, thanks so much for sticking with us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm John Adams. Before we check in with PGE, let's go to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino with the latest on this storm. Matt.
Hey, John, thanks so much. It's going to be a very cold night. The winds will begin to back off. That's not really going to happen till about midnight or so, but the precipitation, the snow and the sleet already winding down, which is certainly good news. It's 16 degrees. The wind chill is -2. And these conditions won't change all that much. But again, the sleet is pretty much over. It's changed back to snow, and that is going to be ending as we go through the evening hours. It's already giving us a break right now over Portland. There's a batch down around Clackamas County, and there's more to our north, so we need to watch that because this whole storm will begin to pull down to the south. But that area is shrinking as well. So we may be almost done with the snow itself right now, which of course is good news. The other bigger question really is, when are those winds going to die down? Those are really wreaking havoc with the area and making people nervous for good reason. Storm coming into the coast right around Newport. It's going to begin to weaken and then move out. And as it weakens, the winds will die down. And as it moves, the winds will die down. But again, the peak gusts have been pretty impressive. Airport 46 on the Fremont Bridge, a gust of 53. Corbett had a gust of 74. Troutdale 60. So East County and the West Hills really got hit hard with the strongest winds, as they're most susceptible to the east winds. But you look at our wind gust forecast, and they drop down into the 30s tonight, and then by morning they're down below 30 miles an hour. But again, I think after about midnight, the winds will really be noticeably down. So snow, sleet easing now and then ending completely by 10 p.m. The winds will gradually ease. They're beginning to soften a little bit, but after about midnight, they'll really back down. We're going to be below freezing, though, for quite a while, and there is another chance of freezing rain coming our way in a couple of days, but nothing like we've been dealing with today. Guys?
All right, Matt, thank you. Well, the big issue right now is the amount of people in the metro area without power. According to PGE's website, there are around 150,000 customers out of power right now.
Add in Pacific Power in Clark County, you've got about 200,000. But joining us right now on the phone is John Farmer, a spokesperson for PGE. John, thanks so much for joining us. You're with David and John on KGW. I know you and your crews are busy. It is a staggering number right now. What are you hearing from your teams right now?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity to talk. So before we jump into that, I would like to take this moment to, on behalf of PGE, express our gratitude to our customers. Thank you very much for their patience and their understanding as our crews work as safely and quickly as they can to restore everyone's power, which is what we're doing, which is why we're talking. And so what I would say is what we're seeing is widespread outages across the service area. So this is not focused in one specific area. And we had those high winds that came in, knocked down trees, tree limbs, and those took power lines with it. And so our crews are now actively assessing the situation, different areas that need to have power restored, and making those repairs when the conditions are safe and allow them to do so.
Well, John, that outage number has climbed throughout the day today. Are you concerned that the number will go up into the evening tonight?
Today has been a dynamic day for sure, and so we're prepared to respond to these outages. We have over 400 personnel in the field right now, responding to, assessing, and working on the repairs needed.
Well, John, with wind chills right now hovering around zero, we appreciate the work you and your teams are trying to do to get those lights back on as quickly as possible. John Farmer with PGE, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Kyle Aboshi has been speaking with some of those PGE customers, hoping they'll have that power turned back on before the end of the night tonight. Kyle, there's so many trees down all over the area.
Well, and this storm really delivered a 1-2 punch. Obviously the snow, but it was that wind that was so damaging all throughout the Portland metro area. Here in the park blocks, there are some down twigs and branches. We've seen this all day today, and cleanup is really going to take some time.
A powerful winter storm brought down branches and huge trees, including this one in southeast Portland. It fell onto a parked car and stretched across Belmont Street.
Like several of the top branches came like all the way through the roof. There's like a giant tree branch in my room.
In northeast Portland's Laurelhurst neighborhood, this old tree came crashing down, hitting 3 cars. No one was hurt.
I mean, my wife's car is definitely totaled. You can't really see it from this angle, but there's a branch that's going through the front windshield into the back seat. So, and the entire center console is totally busted.
Emergency crews responded to dozens of weather-related calls. Luckily, Portland officers weren't inside this patrol car when a tree fell in southeast Portland. In the Cedar Hills neighborhood, a tree crashed onto an apartment complex, leading to the collapse of 2 units. No one was hurt.
We just heard this big, huge boom and came up here, and there it is.
David Riley of southeast Portland lost power after this small tree toppled over, knocking down a power line.
We have no power. It's already getting super cold in our house.
Throughout the Portland metro area, many customers were left without electricity after a powerful storm that brought both snow and fierce wind.
And as you just heard from that PGE spokesperson, they've got crews and contractors out in the field right now assessing and working to restore service as quickly as possible.
All right. Thank you, Kyle Boshi, live in southwest Portland there. We want to talk about the tragedy behind all of this. We have 2 suspected deaths tonight, or rather 2 deaths, I should say. One of those, a suspected case of hypothermia that turned fatal. Sydney Dorner joining us live on the central east side outside a warming shelter there. Sydney, obviously not the news we want to hear, but it's been such a tough storm and the temperatures out there are just brutal. What are officials doing tonight to make sure people can stay warm and stay alive?
Yes, David, between the wind chill, low temperatures and snow, standing outside in this weather for long periods of time has proven to be deadly. Sadly, we're learning from Multnomah County officials that 1 person has passed away, likely from these extreme conditions. While officials haven't released any other details about the death at this time, we do know they're opening up 4 more emergency shelters tonight to keep people safe. They include First Christian Church, Freedom Foursquare, Multnomah County East Building, and the State of Oregon Building. They will provide warmth and food and plan to stay open through at least tomorrow night. At least 350 people have entered their shelters. By tonight, they plan to have 740 beds open for people. We met a woman who was using the library to stay warm before she heard about a shelter just 3 blocks away.
I was at the library and I had a backpack on my back for the bad weather. I didn't know for sure if I wanted to stay with a friend, and she directed me here. She said it's safe, it's friendly.
If you see someone you think may be in danger due to the weather, the county wants you to call their non-emergency line, which is 503-823-3333, to request a welfare check. Now, of course, if you think someone is in more immediate danger, call 911. Sydney Dorner, KGW News, back to you.
Thank you, Sydney. We want to return to the breaking news we brought you at the top of 5 o'clock. John, we talked about one of those deaths. The second death, it turns out, fire crews say, was caused when a tree fell onto an RV this afternoon in southeast Portland, causing a fatal fire there.
Art Edwards is live in Portland's Lentz neighborhood. And Art, what have you learned out there today?
Well, we know now that 1 person died in this, another person was injured. I'm at Southeast 105th and Southeast Herald. Happened late this afternoon when a tree came down. It knocked down the power lines. It landed on an RV that was parked on the street here that someone was living in and sparked a fire. In that fire, as we said, 1 person died, 1 person was injured. Firefighters, you could see from the video that we have, firefighters were out here pretty quickly trying to get the upper hand on this, and they worked on this and then discovered that there were 2 people who had been inside that RV, and one of them unfortunately had died. They are still out here, investigators who are working on this. Right after it happened, we were able to talk to someone in the neighborhood who heard what he thought was an explosion.
All of a sudden the power goes out and I hear a bang, and I look outside and the tree hit the van and it went over. After that, I bet good 1-2 minutes, the fire started coming out, and I heard one of the people that lived there, one of the homeless that lived there, he was screaming.
Now, there are still investigators who are out here on the scene. PG&E also has crews out here on the scene trying to assess the damage and figure out exactly what's going to be needed to be able to restore the power to this neighborhood. It has been out for many hours now at this point while they conduct their investigation and try and figure out how they're going to get everything taken care of. Reporting live from Southeast Portland, Art Edwards, KGW News.
All right, Art, thank you. Well, it's a feeling that many people have had today.
To say the least, it's going to be a long day.
It's already been a long day. It's going to be a long night. Frigid temperatures and ice making for really misery, even down in the Salem area and beyond. Talk about the ice there. We'll check in on the conditions coming up.
Beginning to wind down and taper off. Now
Step one, right?
We need the winds to back off. That's the thing that really got everybody today and has caused the power outages and et cetera. It's been a mess. All right, let's take you outside. It is cold and it's still windy. We're getting sustained winds about 22 miles an hour at the Portland airport, which is a little lower than it was a few hours ago. It is at least going in the right direction, right? Wind chills, they're not going to go, they're going to be really cold overnight. It's still -2 in Portland. As the winds die down, the wind chills, of course, will come up, but the temperatures aren't really going to be rising overnight at all. And if you think it's cold here, look at the wind chills in Sun River, -27, -16 in Bend, -9 up in Pendleton. So it is cold all over the place. Look at the winds, though. Much of the valley going, not a problem. From Hillsborough, King City, Aurora, north winds, but 5 to 15 miles an hour for the most part, only 6 in Scappoose. It's East County, really from roughly downtown in the West Hills out into the gorge where we're getting those strong east winds and where we've seen a lot of the damage. So again, we need these to die down. That's a strong wind sustained at almost 40 miles an hour over in Troutdale. But look at the precipitation. You can see it backing off. This area to our north, which was the last bastion that I was concerned about, is shrinking. As you can see it diminishing in size on Doppler radar. That is also moving away as it shrinks. So I don't think there's that much more of a threat of snow or sleet. And then that begs the question, why did we get so much sleet and less snow? Well, the reason is this, and this is from real data today, from about 3,000 feet up to nearly 5,000 feet. That was a layer of roughly 1,800 feet this afternoon and this morning. we had a layer of air that was above freezing, anywhere from 32 to 38 degrees. That layer was about, as I said, 1,800 feet thick. And those are the perfect conditions to form sleet, because what happens is the clouds produce snow. The snow falls into that layer of air that's not very thick, but those snowflakes begin to melt, but they only melt partially, so it changes the shape, the composition of those snowflakes. Then they fall back down into the air that is below freezing that we're all experiencing, and they freeze into the ice pellets that we call sleet. So that's why we had so much sleet. Sometimes we call this a warm nose of air that intrudes in the atmosphere, and that was all above this really brutally cold Arctic air. Another way of looking at this is it's an inversion, lower down low, or sorry, colder down low, warmer up above. And here's some real data for you from Mount Hood and over in the Hood River Valley. Parkdale down at 1,700 feet. Was 2 degrees at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Same time, the base of Mount Hood Meadows at 5,400 feet was 8. So, you know, only 6 degrees warmer, but still warmer as you go up. And then you go up to 7,300 feet, the top of the Cascade Chairlift. Look at this. It was 30 degrees up there. So it was warmer up high than it was down low. And again, that is a recipe for sleet and sometimes freezing rain. Here's our storm. It is beginning to roll on out of here, which is great news. So precipitation will end completely by about 10 o'clock or so. It's winding down now, and then the sky will actually clear tomorrow. Notice the wind arrows really diminish and they go away for a while, but then they return on Monday or Tuesday. They won't be as strong as today. We have another threat of freezing rain coming in Tuesday night and Wednesday, but it won't be as dramatic as what we had today. Here's the wind gust forecast by the hour, dropping down, and then finally below 40 miles an hour later on tonight. These values may be a little bit elevated. So again, the point is we're going in the right direction. The winds will be calming, especially after midnight tonight. It is 16, and there's that wind chill of -2. Okay, then. Our forecast up in the mountains, you get some sun tomorrow, another 2 to 6 inches of snow tonight. Eastern Oregon and the gorge also still very cold. You get more snow tonight, Eastern Oregon, and then clearing as we go into the gorge. Oh man, those winds gusting to 70 tonight, but then down to 50 tomorrow and increasingly confined to areas in and near the west side of the gorge. So it will be improving, but blizzard conditions there tonight. For Portland, winds easing after midnight, partly sunny tomorrow. The winds will be down to 30 miles an hour and only in East County. So noticeable difference, but look at that morning low at 12, high tomorrow 28, high on Monday 28. Then on Tuesday we get up to freezing, and then Wednesday that'll be our morning low, or overnight low at 32, and we finally climb back into the 40s. But we're watching that potential for freezing rain again Tuesday night and Wednesday morning.
Can't wait for that. The thought, just again stressing, don't let your guard down just because the storm is over, because we're still getting those reports of trees coming down, branches coming down, power lines, all that stuff.
Oh, it's still happening for sure, but I wanted to reassure people, give them some hope that things
there is
will be coming.
there.
The weather will be settling down later tonight.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, we're going to be right back with one more check on the roads after this.
Your chance to win a Silverado is unmatched. Qualifier drawing Sunday.
We want to head further down the valley now to Salem, which has also been hit hard by sub-freezing temperatures. And man, that wind, John.
That wind is strong out there today. Thomas Schultz spoke to people about how they're hunkering down and trying to make it through.
With temperatures just above 20 degrees and ice coating streets and sidewalks, many in Salem are spending their day inside, though some on the street worry what this weekend has in store for them.
We just hope for better. We pray for better.
Rachel Flores has been homeless in Salem for months, and Saturday morning, she and Montu Scarborough were busy, trudging along icy sidewalks, carting their belongings to Arches, a shelter.
To say the least, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day.
And they worry in sub-freezing temperatures, shelters may run out of space.
You know, if they don't have enough room, there's not enough room.
Forcing them back outside.
You got to be out until at least 7 o'clock.
When warming shelters open, and if that happens,
what's the plan? Is to get onto some shelters today, probably get some coffee, meet with some friends, and all that good madness, and really just stay warm.
And while they try to stay warm, searching for shelter, other Salem residents are concerned too about the roads.
People do not know how to drive in the snow, and I'd rather stay home.
Amelia Smith says she's hopeful conditions improve by Monday, though for now, she's not taking any chances.
Definitely not going out.
Still, some
It's been hard. It's been hard.
Don't have much of a choice. In Salem, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
I've reported for a long time, and I've seen
storm. Talking about transit and traffic right now. TriMet suspending MAX service indefinitely because of the storm. Buses also moving much slower than usual. Bottom line, if you don't have to be outside or on the roads or trying to get somewhere, don't do it. Stay home. Good advice. Conditions on the roads also fairly treacherous across our region here.
Yeah, meteorologist Joe Ranieri is in Drive 8 tonight. Joe, how are things looking near the Washington Square Mall where you guys are at?
Pretty treacherous. I mean, a couple of hours ago, or actually just about an hour ago or so, we spoke to you guys driving along Highway 26, and basically thanks to those strong winds that we've been experiencing the entire day, the roads were clear along 26. There are just some downed trees which were causing some issues, and not necessarily closures, David and John, but just a couple of lanes that were closed off. A lot of that area has been kind of cleared up, but this is along Greenberg. If you're familiar, this is a road that runs just above 217 near the Washington Square Mall. I guess 3-4 potential inches of snow blankets Greenberg Road right now. So we might not be seeing much more in terms of precipitation overnight, but this is going to be a frozen mess, not just tomorrow, but over the next couple of days until it's cleared out. Again, we're not going to be seeing our temperatures warming up over the next couple of days, unfortunately. But as you travel in a few pockets of the metro area, you might be thinking, hey, what's the big deal? It's not that big of a deal. Well, it all depends on what you saw basically earlier this afternoon. Again, this is just a section, as you can see. It looks like we've just been through a snowstorm here, but again, 3 to 4 inches of snow, I would say, through this section here, not far from the Thursday line you might be familiar with. If you're thinking, hey, I might try to go out and get a little dinner, well, good luck. A lot of these locations are closed. A lot of businesses are closed because of the conditions from earlier today. But again, ODOT is thanking people from kind of staying off the roads earlier this afternoon. It's really helped them. Again, if you can stay off the roads, great advice, not just tonight, but into tomorrow as well. Back to you guys.
All right, Joe Ranieri there in Drive 8 tonight. Stay safe, you and Kurt Austin heading along those roads there. We appreciate it.
All right, and Matt, another check of the forecast here. Yeah. The high winds have been, one of the biggest stories today. Are they finally going to be dying down a little bit?
It's going to take some time, but that's the direction they're going. As David mentioned a bit ago, we still have trees coming down. We still have strong winds. Here's a look at the forecast for the coast. You've had mainly freezing rain. That will be ending by 10 p.m., and you get sunshine tomorrow. Great, right? In the valleys, I know you've dealt with a lot of ice. That'll also be ending 10 p.m., if not sooner, and then partly sunny tomorrow, and the winds really backing off. They really already have across much of the valley. So for Portland, the snow, the sleet easing now. It'll be over by 10 p.m., and the winds will gradually ease even before midnight, but after midnight is when we'll really notice them dying down quite a bit. Still below freezing, though, and breezy tomorrow near the gorge, but we get some sun. It'll be a much calmer day, as will MLK Day on Monday. Sunshine, still cold, 17 in the morning, 28 for the high. Finally up to freezing Tuesday, but that's when we get another little batch of freezing rain coming in. So we'll have more on that in the days ahead. Let's just get through tonight.
A lot to talk about. At least we can see the other side now. Thank you, Matt. And thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back with the very latest tonight at 11. Updates available anytime on KGW.com and the KGW app. Right now, we join Grant's Getaways in progress. Stay safe, stay warm. Have a good night.
Not an early riser? If you can't catch KGW